Moms are some of the busiest people I know, and I am one of them. Mama Cuisine is about making great everyday meals and finally conquering the stress of cooking for your family. I will share my own recipes as well as any tricks that I've learned from working in restaurants that help make our lives a little easier. Mama's food won't be boring anymore with Mama Cuisine. Today I'm going to be making something that I call Spanish chicken bake. This recipe actually came about one day after work. I came home, the kids were acting up, they needed baths, homework needed to get done, and I literally did not have any time to make any food. And I was actually kind of craving some paella of some sort for that day. And I knew I didn't have that much time. So I just really looked in the fridge, took out some chicken, and I looked in my pantry. I had 4 bone-in chicken breasts, and it's bone-in with the skin on as well. And I went in my pantry, took out some rice, took out a can of tomatoes, took out some olives, put it all together, and stuck it in the oven. And that way I didn't have to think about it. I just did its thing in the oven while I gave the girls a bath. My eldest was doing his homework, and I was just able to kind of go about my day. And an hour later, dinner was done, and it was so easy, and it actually turned out quite good. That's what I'm making for you today. It's so easy, and you won't believe how tasty it is. Thinking about that we're only using chicken breast, rice, a can of fire-roasted tomatoes, and some green pimento stuffed olives. That's it. Canned tomatoes are about 80 to 99 cents at the store. It's also very cost efficient and very easy to make. And this is something that you could for sure do any night of the week for your family. So let's start by heating up the skillet here. All right. Heat it up to medium-high heat, and I'm just going to take my chicken breasts. It's important to use the bone-in chicken breast because it keeps its flavor and won't be as dry when you're baking it in the oven. And a lot of people complain about using and baking chicken breasts because they do turn out dry and they're not tasty. So every time I decide to use and bake chicken breasts, I always use the bone-in with the skin on chicken breasts whenever I bake. Not to mention the bone lends a lot of flavor to the chicken breast. And, you know, it's kind of a win-win. It's a leaner cut of meat. So you get half the fat, and you can just choose to actually take off the skin if you don't like the skin. So I just put some salt on this side of the chicken breast. And also pepper, so sprinkle some fresh cracked pepper on there. Always want to flavor everything that you're cooking. And paprika. So in keeping with a Spanish theme, I'm putting about 1 teaspoon for 4, and I'm just sprinkling it on. Paprika is something that you could find in any grocery store. It's used in a lot of Spanish cooking, so now I put about 2 teaspoons and just turn this over. And it also lends a lot of really deep red colors. A lot of really deep red colors that make your dish pretty. So other side, same thing. 1 teaspoon of salt. Distribute evenly. On the other side, another teaspoon. So what's nice about using the spoons is that you could kind of guess, you know, instead of using your fingers and not really knowing, you could kind of eyeball it out, and then you'll remember your recipe next time you make it again. I know sometimes I come up with recipes and I don't really keep track of what I put in because I sprinkle this, I sprinkle that, and I totally forget what I put in it. So I've learned to make the tools my friends, measuring spoons my friends. Okay, so now there's paprika, so it's nice and red. Salt and pepper. That's all you need for the chicken breast to season them and make them taste yummy. So now our skillet is warm. We're going to take some olive oil. Put it in the pan. I want to say a couple tablespoons. You want to make sure the pan is hot, and that way we're searing the chicken. We're really just browning it. We're not cooking the chicken all the way because it's going to be cooking in the oven for about an hour. So the whole point is to give it some color. If we just bake the chicken right away, it won't really have that really nice deep red and brownish color to it, which makes it look very appetizing. So right now I'm going to take this chicken, and I can't find my tongs, so I'm going to use my hands, but tongs are a great tool to have. And I'm taking the skin side down, so you just take the skin side of the chicken and put it down. That sound is amazing. That sizzle sound means it's on, it's hot. I'm just going to brown the chicken breast. Put this aside. And find room in the pan. And brown the chicken. It's important that the heat is very hot. That way it does get its nice color and it starts to sear in the flavors and get the very nice brown color on the outside. All right, so we'll put this aside. I have here a jar of Spanish stuffed green olives. So it's just pimento stuffed olives, which is a pepper. It's not a spicy pepper, but it's mostly used in the Spanish type olives. I'm going to check my chicken real quick. Take a look. It's looking pretty good. I'm going to turn up the heat just a little. And I can see my oil is already turning red from the paprika, which is a good sign. And I'm going to get my dish here. And this is what I'm going to use to bake everything in. And open this up. Oh my gosh, these things are so hard to open. Oh my, there it goes. Got it. Now, this olive juice that you see in the jar, we're going to use this, so don't throw and drain the olives. This juice here is a nice, obviously, olive juice, and it lends a really good flavor as well, and that helps with the whole Spanish theme. So don't throw that away. We're going to use, I'm actually just going to probably pour that in here because I'm going to use about half of this jar and half of its liquid as well. And take out the olives. You could leave them whole actually, but because I'm cooking it for the kids, I am going to chop it up a little bit because, let's be honest, they'll probably be scared looking at a big green olive staring at them, and they probably won't want to eat it. So I'm going to take it out and chop it up, hopefully disguise it a little for them, and they won't mind eating it. My kids really love this dish, actually. So I'm going to check the chicken again. It's still browning there, so I'm just going to keep it there for a little bit longer. Right? Take my knife. Okay, this is my big chef knife. And I'm going to chop these up. So these roll around a lot, so you want to be careful because you don't want to slice your finger or anything like that. So it's good to just kind of take the time at this part just to chop them up. And you don't need to be uniform. It doesn't need to be exact. I just want to roughly chop everything so that it's bite-sized pieces and will blend well with the rice and the chicken and everything else. So how genius is it to just put a couple of things in a pan or in a baking dish, stick it in the oven, and dinner's ready after an hour? That to me sometimes are the best meals. And honestly, I didn't have a recipe for this. I thought of it just on the fly, out of nowhere, because I was really thinking of what I should make for dinner, and I really did not know why. It was just one of those really crazy days where the kids are all over the place, and I just really did not have time to sit there and babysit a meal. So I had to think real quickly, look into my pantry. What did I have? I had olives. I had a can of fire roasted tomatoes. I always have rice. I had some chicken. I said, okay, I'm just going to stick it all together. Hopefully it works. And it worked. That was fabulous. So it's something that I actually posted for everyone to see on my blog. And also, I know I'm going to make this again for my family. So one more time, check the chicken. It's going to be time to flip. It's perfect. So I'm going to flip it now to the other side. Just be careful. And now we're going to brown the other side of that. Okay, so just let that hang out a couple minutes, and I'm going to start the base of this. Like I said, we're using dry rice. Uncooked long grain rice is what I had. Whatever you have. You have brown rice, use brown rice. You have short grain rice, use short grain rice. You have jasmine rice, go for it. Whatever you have in hand. That's the beauty of stocking your pantry with things that are universal. And that's something that I really believe in, is that making sure that your pantry is stocked with ingredients that are meaningful, that are useful, because when you're in a bind one day and you feel like you don't really know what to make, it's so easy to throw and make something up because you already have really good ingredients to start with. So things like onions, celery, carrots, I always have those things in hand because it's the basis of making good, flavorful dishes. I always have canned tomatoes. So I'm putting here 2 cups of long grain rice, okay? And remember, there's olive juice down there that we put down. And you kind of just eyeball it too. And remember, rice, when you put liquid with it, it'll expand, and it doesn't look like much now, but it will end up to be something. Because in the water, it expands and it fluffs up, and it becomes so delicious. And in my house, we cannot live a day without eating one dish with one rice dish. That's just how it is. So I'm actually going to leave this here, and I'm going to go ahead and open my can of tomatoes. So this is just 1 can of tomatoes, and they've come a long way. You know, they now have, you know, these companies now have tomatoes fire roasted, and that's what I'm using today. Italian style, really nice. That'll help you in making great meals. This one has green chilies in it, so that kind of helps it also. And I'm just going to go ahead and put that there also. All right, let me grab a spoon just to kind of help mix it all up. All right, and it doesn't look like anything because you're thinking, oh gosh, that's rice that's not even cooked, and you're sticking it in the oven that way, and you're sticking olives and tomatoes and chicken. Like, I don't know if that's gonna work. Honestly, I thought the same thing. I don't know if that's gonna work. So, but it did, and it's fabulous. So I want to share it with everyone. All right. So now the chicken is perfectly brown. I'm gonna go ahead and stick it on top. Just lay it on top of the rice and the tomatoes. There you go. Just stick it on top of the rice, tomatoes, and just position them so that they cook evenly. Let's see here with my spoon and kind of work it out here. There you go. All right. And then we're going to take the olives that we chopped up